fighting world powers. Stop the war now, world powers. Stop the fighting world powers. Stop the war now, world powers. Stop the fighting world powers. Stop the war now, world powers. Stop the killing. Years ago they shipped our brothers overseas to fight a foreign nation, the Vietnamese. Most of them didn't know what they were fighting for. In the devil's army, the black and the poor, at the average age of 19 years old, thrown into a world of horrors untold, hanging on to mother's apron just a short time before, seeing so much they don't wanna see no more. World powers, stop the war now, world powers. Stop the fighting, world powers. Stop the war now, world powers. Stop the killing. In America today, the situation's bad. Suffering of the people, the worst that they've had. Plants closing everywhere, factories shutting down. A minimum wage job is hard to be found. In the hills of America, the homeless outside, down and out in the city with no sense of pride. Children going hungry, what a price to pay, while policies of the government are throwing food away. Power, stop the war now, world powers. Stop the fighting, world powers. Stop the war now, world powers. Stop the killing. Brothers wandering around with hardly any hope, going insane with alcohol, crack and the dope. Even with an education, many can't find a job. Some has turned to criminality, gangs and the mob. Now Uncle Sam is calling, saying be all you can be. Brothers risking their lives for some opportunity. Uncle Sam's world is crumbling, that's a natural fact. Only God's miracle can bring his power back. World powers.
Work could be near for federal workers. New executive order means federal workers must be in the office 5 days a week. It's a policy that is important now for the Democratic mayor.
World powers, stop the war now, world powers. Stop the fighting, world powers. Stop the war now, world powers. Stop the fighting, world powers. Stop the war now, world powers. Good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is. Hopefully you all are out there and can hear me. I'm running a little later than I wanted to be actually because I actually changing up the format a little bit this morning. Did a little extra prep and for this particular broadcast, but this is Get You Line Journey. This is the weekly Get You Line Political Forum, or as I'm calling it, the Expat views of American politics and current events is what's going on right now. We ask you to get a chance, come in, like, and subscribe right away as you come in. We appreciate you all doing that. Like, share, and subscribe. This is our weekly political forum. A lot is going on this past week, so I definitely was not going to skip this week doing a broadcast. So we ask you, of course, you come in, support our sponsor, which is Get You Line Music Radio. For less than $10 a month, you can have access to original music. Most of it is mine or my associates. And this will help us to, on my way, I guess, of being monetized, if you will, to help this content and what I'm doing out here. As you all know, I am an expat. I'm not currently, right now, I'm out of America, but want to be back in a few months. But we want to get into all what is going on this past week. The most thing that's going on is the fact that we had the new president, Donald Trump, sworn in. And starting with day one, hour one, he started to do and start to implement his agenda, what the people had actually elected him for. So I just want to present this and again give you a chance to give your comments today. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be showing some clips to kind of illustrate what has been going on, and then you can give your comment. Of course, I'll give mine. But I'm going to start out with this first one.
Work could be near for federal workers. President Trump's new executive order means federal workers must return to the office 5 days a week. It is a policy change that's getting support now from D.C.'s Democratic mayor. Fox 5's Tom Fitzgerald's at the Capitol. And Fitz, President Trump did not delay on this one. He did this day one.
Yeah, he certainly did, Angie, and expect that this is just going to be the first step of the president's efforts to remake the federal workforce, cut through bureaucracy, and instill more what he says is efficiency. Now, remember, work from home began during the first Trump administration. Back then, COVID-19 led to precautions and shutdowns, but the federal health emergency has been over since May 2023, but yet many federal workers still work from home. A recent Senate report found that only 6% of federal workers work a 5-day full-time basis, and nearly 1/3 of the entire federal workforce still works from home. Many taxpayers who are in the nation's capital right now for the inauguration tell Fox 5 they've had to go back to work. They think all federal workers should as well.
We will also require that federal workers must return to the office in person.
People do need to go back to work, in my opinion, because everything's over now.
I don't necessarily think it's I think it's a political stunt.
Imagine how much money it's taking to actually run those buildings. No one's working there.
One of the supporters of this return to work effort is none other than D.C.'s Democratic Mayor Muriel Bowser, was cited several times over the last few years that the lack of federal workers in the nation's capital has hurt the local economy. And while some labor attorneys tell Fox 5 they expect lawsuits to try to stop the White House effort, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen says he does have concerns about this one-size-fits-all approach.
This is something we're very focused on. Again, this is an area where we want to take a scalpel and not a meat axe to the issue.
Look, the reality is that before President Trump took office, there were collective bargaining agreements where a number of workers were allowed to work remotely.
Now, while there's been a lot of talk about this, the when it kicks in, that still isn't clear. The White House releasing an announcement on this saying that they're directing federal department heads to act as, quote, as soon as possible. Live on the Hill tonight. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Fitz, thank you.
Well, President.
Yeah, so we got a situation, and I guess it's been going on at least for the past 4 years. People have been able to work. Well, I ain't gonna even tell that lie. They've been able to work from home, not having to come into the office under the guise of, COVID and all that. But that emergency was officially over with as of at least over a year ago. So people should have been forced to come back in that office since then, but they've been able to be home, get paid, watch The View, and they had caught some people. I mean, they had sex orgies and all this kind of stuff on the clock, and they getting paid. And I know people personally that they were allowed to do remote work, and then if they mess around, somebody calls them or something, and they don't answer the phone fast enough or something happens that's unforeseen, people have lost their jobs because, they weren't available or they didn't do the work product because they were on the so-called work from home. So I probably have no sympathy. I think if you're working, you should bring your ass into the office. Bring your ass into the office and get paid and fight that traffic just like I had to do. And like I said, many of thousands have had to do. And, under the risk of losing their job, and many did lose their jobs behind that. So I have no sympathy for them at all. As far as that goes. So I'm gonna still just keep moving with these clips and responding to them. If you have any comments, please make them. But I'm going to continue on with some of the other stuff that's going on today.
CBP One app scheduling feature during his campaign, but no one knew what would happen with the already existing appointments. Today, we found out those appointments are now canceled. This was the message hundreds of migrants saw, letting them know the CBP One app was losing key features that allowed them to start the process for their asylum claims. And this was the scene in Tijuana as migrants started to find out the news. Many already lined up for day of appointments, finding out all of them are no longer valid.
Tengo la cita el día de mañana a la 1.
This woman says her appointment was set for Tuesday at 1 in the afternoon, but she got an email letting her know it's now canceled. She says her sister's appointment for February is also not happening.
Bueno, en Venezuela, como todos saben, la situación está bastante difícil.
This couple from Venezuela says they left to the U.S. in search of better opportunities. They and hundreds of others lined up on the Mexico side of the San Ysidro port of entry, hoping to get answers about what happens next. This man also had an appointment set for Monday. He says the app prompted him to run a software update, and after that, the message that there would be no appointment. Now, the app isn't shut down altogether, only the features that allowed migrants to submit information in advance and schedule appointments hoping to seek asylum. In the 2 years since those features were launched, nearly 1 million people were let into the U.S. legally with work eligibility. The app, however, launched during the end of Trump's first presidency. Now, I did reach out to CBP both locally and at the national level about what's next. They referred me to the White House. President Trump has not announced what's next. In studio, Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
Trail raising money for president. Why Brandon Johnson?
Well, first of all, continue on with that. This was an app that somebody had actually, I don't know if the actual U.S. government had anything to do with this, but these doggone so-called poor illegals or poor migrants or whatever you want to call them, they're illegal aliens, are sophisticated enough to have, they got set. Okay, first of all, they have to have a cell phone in order to access the app. So think about that. These are people supposed to be destitute, but yet they got a damn iPhone and a cell phone that some Americans can't even afford. So they can afford to get a cell phone, and they got to have cell service. They got to pay for cell service now, internet service, in order for them to be able to access the app. So think about, just stop right there. They got to afford a phone. They have to afford the data to access the app. So just make that make sense. But anyway, this was a way people were using to, and then, the Biden administration, which is the worst administration probably in the history, the worst president, one that I can think of that I would rate lower than him, it wouldn't be Nixon. It would be Jackson or whoever it was that took over the president after President Lincoln got killed. He's got to be the worst. But they had an app where they could come in and have appointments, not even American citizens, but they can make an appointment to see a government agency. Now, I'm an American citizen. What hell did I and hundreds of thousands of Americans have to go through to make an appointment with the federal government for their Medicare, Social Security, to get a passport, other things that they had to do from the government? How much trouble, how much hell has American citizens had to go through to get an appointment, yet you have somebody that's not from another country, can't speak English, can't speak the language, supposed to be so destitute, yet they have a cell phone and cell service, and they're able to make appointments and get seen by somebody in the government relatively quickly. I'm happy and glad that Donald Trump has come in and stopped that. That app has been disabled, so that's gone. No more of that. And that's one thing I like that he did. He shut that down. And now the other thing that's going on, that he's really coming in and putting a stop to this madness. The fact is that what's happened is these things, people have finally gotten tired enough of people who are not even citizens having more rights than Americans, which is crazy. Let me give you a little bit more insight here what's going on. As you know, I'm from Chicago. Let's talk about and show you this clip here about the madness of this Negro clown and clown as Flintstone as governor of Illinois.
for his presidential campaign. He's a billionaire. Brandon Johnson's got approval ratings almost as cold as our weather in Chicago, teens, basically. Listen, they have to appeal to their base. What I don't think they get, or they're now beginning to understand a little bit, is that their base, like the rest of the country, has moved. 2.5 million people in the blue state of Illinois voted for Donald Trump. More people in Chicago voted for Donald Trump than they did last time. The interesting thing is, here we are, Donald Trump promised mass deportations on day one. We're 30 hours in, and here in Chicago, which was supposed to be ground zero, we haven't seen any evidence of any deportation so far.
Okay, well, things sometimes take at least more than a few hours to get going. Fair to say there are people being sent back, and things at the border, we understand, are changing significantly. I think this is important, though, and you said that things in Chicago are changing, and we saw a lot of Brandon Johnson's constituents, a lot of African Americans in the poorer Chicago neighborhoods, furiously angry over the amount of illegal immigrants and the money being spent on them in Chicago. Has any of Brandon Johnson's
$400 million on 50,000 migrants in the last 2 years? $400 million. Yeah, there's a lot of people in Chicago who are angry about that. And there are a lot of people who are asking, okay, what do we do? The issue is not a Chicago problem, though. The reason Chicago police aren't cooperating with ICE agents is because of a state law signed by a former Republican governor that said local law enforcement, whether you're in Chicago, the suburbs, or downstate, can't cooperate with federal agents for the purpose of deportation and can't ask people or investigate somebody's immigration status. So, that's great reporting that Allie Bradley did to find that number of criminally convicted immigrants who are here, who will be first, supposedly, on the deportation list. But if those folks are in jails or prisons in the state of Illinois, even if one was supposed to get out tomorrow, those folks who are running the jails can't call up ICE and say, hey, we got a guy coming out tomorrow. He's on your list. Come get him.
Fascinating, and let me just put a button on this. I don't think J.B. Pritzker is introducing any legislation to change that law, right?
He's not. His rhetoric has changed a little bit, saying that he agrees convicted criminals should be deported. But, so what, you go through the legal process, which takes 2 or 3 years sometimes to get a trial in Cook County here in Chicago. So, I don't know that, while his rhetoric has changed a little bit, the effectuality of it. He's still saying, hey, if you get charged with murder tomorrow and you're an illegal immigrant, well, we got to wait until you're tried.
Well, and also, and I'll take the last word here, he's the same guy who said, if you want to come for my people, illegal immigrants included, you have to come through me. I'll refrain from any reference to what it would take to come through J.B. Pritzker.
So, you heard a little bit about what's going on with Illinois and our stupid-ass governor, who I did not vote for him. I actually voted for the Republican, and I doubt whether he would have had this same policy. So somebody could kill somebody today, get arrested, and they don't, and according to Illinois, they don't have to report it to the government. So they can sit in jail for 2 or 3 years or whatever it is until they get a trial. In the meantime, my tax dollars is being taken to pay their room and board, as they say, 3 hots and a cot for somebody who is not paid not 1 dime of taxes, killing Americans, raping, robbing, whatever they did. And then I got to pay for it out of my pocket. I think just enough, and I'm hoping that now is enough people in America is tired of that shit. And that's one of the main reasons why Donald Trump is the president right now. And I think it's going to be more of us that have sense versus a lot of dumbass people out there. And even some of you who may be listening who actually think that somebody who's not even a citizen can't speak English, and they have more rights than Americans. You know, and I mean, we're should be the laughing stock of the world. Again, don't say shit to me about China and Russia, because China and Russia, they don't have this situation in their country. Their lands are not being invaded by people who don't look like, not necessarily don't look like them, but can't speak the language, and really not happening in Russia and China. So you can't say nothing to me about Russia and China, and our stupid government is allowing these people for years and decades to make total fools out of America. So anyway, to keep on this subject here, I've been looking around. Usually I look at some type of clips on YouTube every day. And what I'm starting to do now is actually the ones I think that's really significant and impress me the most, I will start to show them. So again, I invite you, if you may be listening or see this live, if you want to join the conversation, if you just have a comment, you know, I know you got ghost watchers out there. I know some people are watching, but they want to be ghosts and be undercover. Anyway, here's the next clip. I'm going to get this Dave Chappelle, and he was on Saturday Night Live kind of talking about this LA fire situation.
But new this hour that we want to bring.
Yeah, that was Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle giving a little bit about the LA fire. And of course, being the comedic genius that he is, that he would have something to say regarding that. And I guess he was being somewhat serious. Some people may actually think like that, the way he described that. But yeah, LA, a lot of people are probably thinking, yeah, they deserve that. They need to burn up. They need to keep on burning up, you know, for the way they, you know, I guess have treated other poor people, the political views they may have had, you know, maybe the non-sympathy for the suffering of this country, of course, the non-suffering of the genocide that's going on in Palestine. So, you know, I can understand that, well, some of that may happen. But anyway, I'm gonna keep on with the clips here. This is something else that happened. It was a prayer service, and Donald Trump was at, and they had this what they call woke bishop that sat there for doing her 15 to 20 minutes of infamy, took the time to insult the president, and actually come out with something that's not even Christian based, if you ask me. But let's listen to this.
Sound from President Trump coming straight from the National Day of Prayer. And, well, President Trump had some remarks for it. He was asked how the service was, and, well, this is what he said. We'll tell you a little bit more about it on the back end.
Mr. President, what did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the
What did you think of the service?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They can do much better.
All right, so he said they could do much better, and it comes after the remarks here from the bishop from earlier today. Bishop Budd was asking President Trump at the service to protect gay, lesbian, transgender children, illegal immigrants, and people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings during a prayer service at the National Cathedral. And so those were the remarks and statement by President Trump coming back to the White House. Let's just listen to a little bit here of the service from earlier, and you will see again the reaction from President Trump.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
Once again, that was from earlier today where Bishop Budd making those remarks, and now it is making a lot of news here because of the reaction that President Trump has just talked about after coming back from this service. I want to play that out for you once again. Very brief statement there, but again, it shows you President Trump not too happy with that statement from the bishop. Take a look.
Mr. President, what did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon?
What did you think of the What did you think of the service?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They can do much better.
They can do much better there. So that was a closing statement there from President Trump, and we will hear from him later today.
But in his final.
So you heard that. I don't know what you think of it, whether you want to say again. I'm pretty sure those of you are listening, whether you're still ghost watching and not making any comments, have your own viewpoint of how you see that, what you just saw. One problem I have with it right away is that this so-called minister, who I'm not going to really give him too much credibility as a minister, took time to ask Donald Trump, the president, for mercy. First of all, if you're supposed to be a minister of God or Christ, if you want to ask mercy, you should be asking God for mercy, not no man. So I had a problem with that. She was asking, please have mercy. Like she was bowing down to Donald Trump. So, I mean, that seemed like a problem in itself. And then you're going to take the nation's time to sit up there and so-called stand up and defend people who, you know, in some cases, okay, the traditional Christian and any other faith, they do not recognize, they do not promote LGBT and all that other kind of stuff. They do not, and then as a citizen, as the United States government, you're sitting up there defending criminals. These people are illegal in this country. They are criminals. They are not following the law. And so you want all hell to come down on Americans who, not saying what they did may do all the time is right, but at least they pay taxes and they're legitimate citizens. You want to put people over Americans that are not citizens, can't speak the language, and you're going to put them over and above Americans. You know, that's crazy. And then you're going to sit up there and talk about, please have mercy, Mr. President, as if you worshiping him when you should be worshiping God. So I had a big problem with that. But yeah, you notice nobody clapped for that. And again, that was ridiculous. But this is the kind of madness that whoever that is, they certainly won't be invited to nothing else that involves anybody that has any type of sense. That's supposed to be trying to be an actual Christian. So anyway, we finally got this fool, evil devil, what's his name, Biden out of office, and here's some more. He really showed his ass and really showed how evil he is, and the Democratic Party and those that supported what he did. I don't give a damn if y'all don't like it. Let me show this other what he just did.
Joe Biden made a few radical moves of his own. He issued presidential pardons to people who've never been charged with anything. They include his own siblings and their spouses, and politicians and public figures that he believes need protection from a vengeful Trump regime.
With a pat on the back, some final parting words between presidents, and a hug between two First Ladies, before the new administration waved goodbye to Joe and Jill Biden.
Never, never, never give up. Ever. We're leaving office. We're not leaving the fight.
In an extraordinary move, just minutes before Trump was sworn in, Joe Biden issued several presidential pardons to politicians, public servants, and members of his own family, none of whom have been charged with any crime.
I think it was unfortunate that he did that.
Pardoned today were Biden's brother and sister-in-law, James and Sarah Jones Biden, his sister, Valerie Biden Owens, and her husband, John. Frank Biden, his youngest sibling, was also included. So too was Dr. Anthony Fauci, the US COVID response chief, plus all who investigated the January 6 riots and those who later testified, including former Capitol Police officer Harry Dunn. And from across the aisle, Republicans who turned their back on Trump, Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney.
I mean, Liz Cheney is a disaster. She's a crying lunatic and crying Adam Kinzinger. He's a super crying. I never saw the guy not crying. He's always crying.
Also pardoned was retired General Mark Milley, who Trump once labelled a woke train wreck. His portrait was hung in the Pentagon only 10 days ago. Today, it was removed. These public servants have served our nation with honour and distinction and do not deserve to be the targets of unjustified and politically motivated prosecutions, Biden said. My family has been subjected to unrelenting attacks and threats. Unfortunately, I have no reason to believe these attacks will end. In his 50 years in politics, Joe Biden has never made a move quite like this, perhaps smearing his own legacy for one final power play. Taylor Ryan for 10 News First.
So he waits minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes before Trump is sworn in to give pardons to his whole family and some other people who may have been done some wicked things. But they have sat up there and had the nerve. He pardoned his whole family. Now, to me, when you pardon somebody, that's you automatically admitting that you're guilty of something. And I don't see how you're going to give these pardons to somebody who's never been charged or anything. That's something that needs to go to the Supreme Court. This preemptive pardon, Nixon didn't even do that. Nixon had the decency to just resign from his office and another person pardon him. He didn't pardon himself. But this guy, the wicked Biden, is actually set up here and basically pardoned himself, pardoned his whole family, and then these other people who I think will definitely have some wickedness in them, especially that Dr. Fauci. I don't like what happened with that COVID thing with the shots and all that stuff. I'm surprised he didn't pardon Bill Gates for what happened with that COVID thing. But I think the Trump to still investigate these people, and so the American people will know what they did. And then it could be that some of these people can still get charged with state charges. And you can't pardon anybody with a state charges. And then he still didn't pardon Leonard Peltier, who's been in jail probably since I was a child. And he didn't pardon the Black Panther. He didn't pardon the Phoenix Secure, and other Black Panthers and Black political activists, and probably thousands of other Black people that are still sitting in jail or had charges on them that shouldn't have never happened. But he pardoned his family, though. So I said, I probably will never vote Democrat again. And I think there's a very good chance at the rate things are going the next election, Chicago is going to flip red, is going to flip Republican, and the state of Illinois is going to therefore flip to Republican. The Democrats are done. The Democrats are being shown for the wicked devils that they are. And I have nothing good to say about them. So anyway, Diamond, Americans cannot go to Russia and China and just say, hello, Russia, hello, China, I want you to give me free food, free clothing, free health care, free luxury hotel, and everything, and spending change and all this, thousands of dollars worth of EBT, debit cards and stuff like that. And Americans can't even get that, who are citizens and paid some kind of taxes. But again, I think it's enough people here in America who are tired of it, and they're gonna vote these. And you still got some people that are still trying to fight this, and I think they need to be removed from office by any means necessary. So just like that healthcare executive left this planet, many of them need to leave this planet by any means necessary. Let's go on to the next one. This is about, they had such a big deal about some of the people performing for the inauguration. Black rappers, hip hop artists. Let's see what a couple of them had to say. We're talking about Snoop Dogg, Nelly, Soulja Boy, Rick Ross. Here's a little bit from, you're going to hear a little from Nelly here.
Shouldn't even be an argument. He's the president. He won. This isn't a campaign. This isn't an RNC. I'm not out on the political campaign. I didn't get none of that 1.5.
They pay me a bag. Obama ain't never put no money in my pockets.
The rap industry, the billionaires, culture, everybody's changing. And they love Trump and the Democrats can't stand it. But I want you to hear the clips because this is so powerful. What Nelly said, what Soulja Boy said. And then we're going to get to CNN having a complete meltdown. So I'm going to play what Nelly said because I think his was the most impactful rotor clip.
The same way that our men and women, our brothers and sisters who protect this country have to go to war and have to put their life on the line for whoever in office. So if they can put their life on the line for whoever in office, I can damn sure perform for whoever.
What do you say to the people that say we're not giving you this backlash because of your political affiliation or your political choice or whatever? We're giving you this backlash because you are propping up a white supremacist.
I would ask them to show me where he's a white supremacist, and here's the thing. Okay, I get it. He did say if you don't vote for me, you're not black, right? Oh no, that wasn't him. That wasn't him. Hold on, I'm trying to think. Hold on. He did create.
I know where you're going.
He did create the crime bill in the 90s, which said that if you get caught with 5 grams of crack, you do a mandatory 5 years. That had mass incarceration. I think even the Vice President Kamala spoke on that part that said that the crime bill played a huge part. He didn't do that. Let me see. What did he do? I'm trying to think. The white supremacist. Hold on. I'm gonna get to it. Okay. He did not rent to black people. What was it, in the 70s or the 80s? Is that what they said? And like, okay, is he written to him now? So nobody's allowed to change, right? See, here's the thing. So we can talk about past, but we never want to talk about our past. If we bring up, if our past get brought up in our community for a lot of what our men did, we always call it rehabilitate. Yo, these young brothers, we've been through a lot. I know I've been through a lot. If my past was what was going to prevent me from winning today, I wouldn't be here.
So think about that. And I like what Nelly said about that. And, you know, I'm sitting up here thinking, and I probably will show this in a future clip, other people have pointed out the same thing. I remember that years ago, a lot of the black hip hop and other artists actually made songs praising Donald Trump. I remember the song by Morris Day in the Time called Donald Trump Black Version. That means that Donald Trump was someone that you want to aspire to be like. I heard another man say, and I said this myself, if I had a son, I would much rather him be like Donald Trump than like that punk ass Barack Obama. He's a damn punk. He's a damn devil, killing our brother, African brother Gaddafi. Didn't pass no significant legislation for blacks, but he went all out of his way to do something for the LGBT and the illegal aliens. And then left Chicago when it's black Chicago there to die. Did nothing for us. So I'd much rather my son, if I had one, to be like Donald Trump than to be like somebody like Barack Obama. So anyway, again, I had no problem with, and again, like Nelly said, it wasn't a campaign. He's already the president. It's over. There's no campaign. He said Trump wasn't even there. So what are they making an issue out of? But I have a big issue with the $10 million or whatever that Beyonce and Eminem and these other people got for supporting the devil Kamala Harris, who's been proven to be a damn liar and a devil and disrespectful of black men, helped put mothers in jail in California, did all types of evil to black people and and they had people out there that still had the nerve to try to want to support that. So anyway, let's go continue on with some of these clips on what's going on with this.
They can't. Nelly. I know Nelly over there. Nelly, right there. No, that's Chingy. What Nelly song is it, baby? My wife. Hot in her. It's getting hot in her. It is kind of hot up in here, but I'll take this off in a minute. But anyway, Nelly hit the nail on the head. I'm glad they're not backing down to it. Nelly said, well, wait a minute. The 94 crime bill. Oh, no, that wasn't him. Oh, it is and this. But the biggest part about what Nelly said is the change factor. Because every time you talk about a rapper like Jay-Z, 50, all of them dudes sold drugs. All of them dudes had a gangster. Even Snoop Dogg, they had a gangster life. Murder Was the Case They Gave Me, which is Snoop Dogg's song. He potentially murdered somebody, but ended up getting off on it, like a lot of other criminals that have done that. But he changed his life around, and everybody love him for who he is. Now he can be on Ellen DeGeneres, and he all over the world. That dude performing, he the man. He's still in every your kids commercials, and he had a song about murdering people, or Murder Was the Case They Gave Me. So then he said, can we change? Y'all know when there's a shooting that happened and the police officer takes somebody like that, he was turning his life around. He just got his kids back. So you want them to be presented how they are today and not be held back for what they were in the past. Why can't Donald Trump get the same credit? If in fact you claim he did these things, which we know that they lied about 90% of it, I'm going to show you that. But if you believe that he did the things, why can't he be redeemed today?
Economy, and while some labor attorneys tell Fox 5 they
So why can't he be redeemed? To show that he's now has been turned his life around or whatever, and then I'm not going to even get too mad at him as far as that thing that went on with the not render people, because that didn't have to be racial. That could have been just, hey, why are you gonna force me to rent to people who can't afford to stay in my place? I think it was more than that than racial. I think if it had been some rich black people that could afford to stay in those places, I don't think it would have been a problem. But let me continue on here with commentary here.
Lied about 90% of it. I'm going to show you that. But if you believe that he did the things, why can't he be redeemed today?
Is one of the other.
He 94. He did the First Step Act. I'm right here in D.C. Me and Candace and others lobbied for the First Step Act, which I thought, for the most part, was a good gesture. Now I want you to hear what Soulja Boy said, because Soulja Boy is a lot more funny than Nelly. He was a lot more drastic. Roll the clip.
They pay me a bag. Obama ain't never put no money in my fucking pockets, nigga. Kamala ain't never put no money in my pockets, nigga. Trump put money in my pockets, nigga. Motherfuckers are trying to say something about me performing at the crypto ball party. Did Kamala call my fucking phone? Did Obama call my motherfucking phone? Did any of you call my motherfucking phone? Oh, God. Fuck you, man. I do what the fuck I want. Trump called my phone. It wasn't even a Trump event. Trump wasn't even there. Y'all so worried about he performed, him, Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross. Kamala, you ain't even win. Obama, you ain't called my fucking phone. I'll suck my dick, nigga. Y'all want me to not answer the phone of the fucking president? Get the president of the motherfucking United States. Trump wasn't even there. It wasn't even a Trump event. It was the crypto ball for crypto. Y'all can suck my dick, cancel me all day. Fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. On my mom, nigga, I don't give a fuck when nobody talking about what the fuck I want to do. And I'll go again. Fuck you talking about.
This time.
My settlements, exactly. And I say that. I tell you what you can suck because you suck so well, so suck this. So this is what I say. You know, again, he was not at a campaign event. Donald Trump has already been elected and installed as the president. This was not a political rally. If I was him, or which I've been invited to perform and for the president or for the governor, whoever, and they paying me, I bet you I would have been there and had no problem with it. But then you didn't have this same smoke for the whole debacle with Beyonce, $10 million, others millions of dollars. They had food. All those thousands of people that wanted to see Beyonce perform. She sat up there and talked, wasn't even on the stage for 10 minutes. And you notice as soon as they realized that they had been tricked, they had been bamboozled by the devil Kamala Harris, that they started walking out when they realized they had been tricked and made to believe falsely that they were going to be able to see a concert. So that's, again, this is the stuff that the Democrats have done before, and they spent all that money. And again, and then we still don't know what kind of money. Well, we know $1.5 billion wasted by the Kamala Harris doom campaign when she had no chance of winning at all. Here's one of the last of this clip I'm gonna show here. This is Marianne Ahern. I remember when she was a little young, slim white chick who was on NBC News in Chicago. So obviously she's been a journalist and been on TV for about at least 30 years, maybe even 40 years. But she's presenting this about some of the latest things that's going on.
He is not wasting any time. Immigration, one of his key campaign promises, and that's where he's focused on day one. Trump is declaring a national emergency at the border and is sending U.S. troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. He also plans to end catch and release and does promise to continue building the wall. Trump plans to label drug cartels terrorist organizations. He also wants to end birthright citizenship. Now, that's a constitutional protection, so he will need a constitutional amendment to change it. What he's calling for is this change going forward, not for those who have already received that protection. What is birthright citizenship? It means if you are born in this country, you are a citizen of this country. Even, let's say, your parents may be from another country, but if you are born here in the U.S., you are a U.S. citizen. As soon as he took office, he ended what many asylum seekers had been using. It's a mobile app called CBP One. It helped to restore order as those sought appointments at the border to try to get into the U.S. As soon as Trump took office, that CBP One app, it no longer existed. It was shut down.
Yeah, so, we already talked about this earlier about that doggone app that the illegals who supposedly so destitute, yet they can afford a cell phone and cellular service to be able to access the app to come in illegally and try to weasel their way into here and get rights, get food, clothing, shelter, $1,000 debit cards, luxury hotels, taking jobs, taking black jobs, taking American jobs. But a lot of people, half the country, maybe a little less than half the country, was cool with that. But I'm glad that Trump is in, and I'm looking forward and supporting him to do as much as he can. But this is not a popular subject yet. You know, I'm still, again, this is just mostly my view of American politics and current events. I do leave it open for other people to make comments, but for whatever, reason, like today, that's probably hadn't gotten too much people watching or either interacting today, but that's okay. So I'm gonna cut this short a little bit today, and to be back next week. I'm hoping that when I come back again, that I at least have a guest on, so I can kind of interact a little bit on the screen. But those of you, like I say, who like to support this content, can get a subscription to my radio station, Geechee Line Music Radio. The subscriptions are 50% off. You want to help support me, help this content. And I'm going to keep doing this no matter whether you like it or not. Eventually, I will get the right people will like my stuff. The right people will agree, agreeable to most of what I say and what my opinions are. You're entitled to yours. Like I said, you had this forum here. If you want to give comments, you could have done that. So, with that being said, I'm going to cut it off today, and hopefully maybe I'll see you next week. Like, share, and subscribe if you'd like to. I'm going to leave this up, and people will be able to watch this. And again, you can always come later and feel free to support and give commentary later on. Thank you. This is Geechee Line Journey. Sign off.